Hello, everybody. Peter the Book Lover here, and this is Movie Talk, where I talk of 3 movies that I recently seen, and I want to give you my opinion of these movies. Let's talk about movies. Hello, I'm Peter the Book Lover. Welcome to Movie Talk, and let's talk about these movies. But before I get into these movies, I want to thank everybody that's here. If you're new here, I want to really appreciate you giving me your time. Thank you for checking out my channel. If you're returning, I really love you very much. Thank you for giving me more of your time, even though these videos aren't completely perfect. Although I am trying my best. I do make a lot of mistakes in these reviews, but I want to get better at this and I want to entertain you. So let's talk about these movies. Okay. Now, the first movie is a horror movie. This is from a book that was written in 2006. And this movie is from 2016. This is directed by Todd Williams. And this is a movie called Cell. This was written by Stephen King. And this movie stars John Cusack as Clay, Samuel L. Jackson as Tom, Isabel Fuhrman as Alice, and Stacy Keach as the director. And that's the actors in this movie. What this story is about is the cell phones, all the cell phones in the world actually get this signal. And this signal takes over people's minds. Because they hear the signal, they are no longer in control of their thoughts. And they become kind of like zombies. And they can't think for themselves anymore. And they're not being controlled by another entity. They never really explain who's controlling them. And in the book, this it's kind of crazy. It's just like he's sitting in the park, and then things just go crazy in the first couple pages, and it goes from like a peaceful day to this crazy day. And it's a shame because the main character, Clay, just literally sold his comic book, and he was about to do really well for himself, and now he's in this like post-apocalyptic world, to where everything's not normal anymore. Now, and then they go on this journey and they discover things, and it's kind of hard to explain the journey they go on, but they wind up like living a zombie movie. And then there's this thing that happens in the movie, and I don't really want to give everything away, but yeah, then these things happen. I don't want to give anything away. Now, to give you my opinion of this movie, I really do not give this thumbs up. I give this more thumbs down, because this was not a very faithful adaptation of this movie. Plus, I believe that John Cusack is kind of like the main character, but Samuel L. Jackson really does not fit this character. At the same time, I gotta say that I am a big Samuel L. Jackson fan. I love his performance in Pulp Fiction. I think his performance as Mace Windu in the Star Wars movies is great. He also does a fantastic job in Die Hard 3. Plus, there's other movies like Jackie Brown that I really love Samuel L. Jackson as an actor. But in this movie, he really didn't fit the character. And Isabel Fuhrman as Alice really didn't fit that character as well as I would have liked. She's described as a blonde girl, and in this movie they gave her dark hair, and she really doesn't match the character that she was in the movie. And Stacy Keach's character as the director, not really the same character as that was in the book. But yes, this is a story to where this event happens and they just survive like a zombie movie. Plus, they find something out about there's like this one character that kind of like is the leader of the cell phone people, and there's a plot to take him down, and it's pretty much same thing that happens in the book, but not the same details, and the book is a lot better than the movie. I recommend the book, but I do not recommend the movie. Okay, the second movie that I want to talk about is a horror movie that's in space. This was directed by Fade Alvarez, and this is from 2024. This is Alien Romulus. Now, what this movie is about is there's a person, Rain, played by Kaylee Spillane as Rain. She is on this planet, and she's supposed to get off this planet, but she is told that she's got to stay on this planet for a longer period of time. And then she is depressed about it, and then she goes sees her friends. And her friend David, Andy, and Kay, Isabella Merced, and they have this plan to get off this planet, and they're going to steal this pod. And these pods are the things that people sleep in these movies. And if you know anything about the movie Alien, they sleep in these pods, and that's how they travel through space. If they do not have these pods, they cannot go anywhere far away. And they want to get away from this planet as far as possible. So they go to this one spaceship that's got these pods. So they go, and on this spaceship there's a bunch of aliens, a lot of them. And the thing about this movie is that let me get into the things that I like about this movie first. Now, the things that I like about this movie is the production value. This movie looks fantastic, fantastic lighting. When it's their scenes are dark, it's lit perfectly. The music is really good, and the acting is done pretty well. Most of the people, their performances, they seem to act exactly like they're supposed to act. The things that I do not like about this movie is it's just too much. It's like a video game, and there's a scene to where they've got to go through a room with these face huggers, and they've got to go through so many face huggers, and it's just, by them being too much, it takes away the intensity of it. There are some scenes where they run into these face huggers that's really intense because they're chasing after them, and there's not a lot. But then there's this other scene to where they go through a room and they're all over the place, and it's kind of like Eight-Legged Freaks. You ever see that movie? And there's just too many of them. And then they run into I Am Home, which is a character from the first movie, the android. And this android is an over-the-top villain type of character, and he tries to take over everything. And he's pretty powerful from who he is, and it's kind of weird on how he's that powerful, being like this half of a robot, There's a android played Andy, which is played by David Johnson. He does a pretty decent job as being an android. There's one cool thing about this android is that he's got a little CD tray on his neck, and it's a pretty cool special effect. Yeah, and Ash has kind of like been doing stuff, and he's like I don't really want to give everything away, but yeah, he's got like this evil plan to take these people. And there's another scene to where there's an anti-gravity thing to where they take away the gravity, and then she shoots a bunch of aliens and puts acid in the air, and then she goes through this acid, and it's a little bit unbelievable. In my opinion, it's just too much over the top. And another part that kind of bothered me about this movie is that there's a line taken, "Get away from her, you bitch." They actually use this line in this movie. And if you've ever watched any of the other Alien movies, you'll know that, that's kind of like uncool that they would take that line. Now, as far as my opinion of the Alien movies, my favorite is Aliens. I love that movie. James Cameron did a fantastic job making that movie. I love that movie. It's fantastic. What's really close to it is the movie Alien. I love that movie as well. That is fantastic. Then Alien Resurrection. I really dig that movie as well. That's a really cool Alien movie. And Alien Part 3, half that movie is fantastic, but the other half of the movie is not my favorite. And the rest of the movies I really haven't seen yet. I really wasn't interested in seeing Alien vs. Predator or Alien vs. Predator 2 or Prometheus. And there's other Alien movies. I really kind of lost interest. The reason why I was able to see this, that I had a good friend of mine, Aaron. If you ever watch my videos, he leaves comments in my videos all the time. He's a very good friend of mine, and he took me to the movies, and I really appreciate him taking me to this movie. If he didn't take me to this movie, I wouldn't have seen this, and I really appreciate him taking me to this movie. But at the same time, he didn't really love this movie as well, Plus, I've seen some people doing reviews of this movie, and there's a lot of other people that don't really love this movie. But at the same time, just don't take my word for it. Other people really love this movie. It's got a lot of intense things in it. There are some really cool scenes in this movie, so maybe you might like this more than I do, so I'm not going to sway you from seeing this movie, but I have to give you my opinion, and I give it thumbs down. But at the same time, I'm not going to tell you not to watch it. There's a lot of movies that I don't like that people love, so I recommend that you go and check this out. You might like this a lot. So that's it for Alien Romulus. Now the next movie that I want to talk about is directed by Curtis Hanson. This is maybe a thriller, maybe a horror movie. Now, if you think Misery is a horror movie, or The Shining is a horror movie, you might rate this as a horror movie. In my opinion, I could say that this is a horror movie because this is a horrifying event. This is from 1992. This is The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Okay, and what this story is about is there's a pregnant woman, Annabelle Caesarea. I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. She plays Claire, and she goes sees the doctor, Dr. Mott, played by John D. Lancey, I think his name is. And he is a creepy doctor. He creeps her out, so she reports him. And when he gets reported, other people start reporting him as well. So he gets depressed, kills himself. And he's married to Rebecca De Mornay. And she loses everything because the insurance company does not cover it. And she miscarriages her baby. So she loses everything because of Claire reporting the doctor. And at the same time, Ernie Hudson, Solomon, actually comes over and works on a fence. Now, he plays a mentally challenged individual. And his performance in this movie as Solomon is fantastic. He's my favorite character in this movie. I think he does a wonderful job in this movie. So he comes over there. As a matter of fact, that's how the movie starts, with him coming over there. And then she reports Dr. Mott and her husband, Matt McCoy. And she's got a daughter, Emma. which is played by Madeline Zima. And they're a happy family, and they get along with Solomon. And then Rebecca De Mornay gets hired as their caregiver. And her intention is to get revenge for losing her husband. Although, at the same time, she should be happy that she got rid of her husband because her husband was kind of a creepy guy. And yeah, this is, you know that her intention is bad for this family. And this movie is very intense. Julianne Moore plays Marlene, and she does there's another fantastic performance of her being the best friend. She's an old-time friend of Matt McCoy, and she does a fantastic job. Everybody in this movie does a fantastic job. Great performances by everybody in this movie, including Dr. Mott. I think this movie is fantastic. This is a movie that I've seen in the 90s. Came out in 1992. I seen this in 92, maybe 93. I didn't see it in the movie theaters, but I've seen it on video. And I've seen this about 3 or 4 times, and I give this thumbs up all the way. This movie has great pacing, has a fantastic ending. The ending is wonderful. And Rebecca De Mornay as Peyton does an awesome job of being a terrifying woman. If you want to see a movie with a woman that's scary, she is very scary in this movie. You know, one of the things that's really awesome about this is when she first runs into Marlene, and she's trying to get hired. They have this conversation, and she's really friendly. And then Marlene turns her back on her. And the face on Rebecca De Mornay, Peyton, is just awesome. And this movie is very tense from beginning to the end. And yes, she's very manipulative. And there's a scene in this movie that involves Solomon that's very sad. Almost makes me want to cry of what happens to Solomon in this movie. So I highly recommend this movie. This movie, I think you'll love this movie. If you've never seen this, you're gonna love this movie. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, I highly recommend. And that's about it. Now, Alien Romulus, I'm gonna say once again, go see it in the movie theaters if you really love the Alien movies. You might have a higher opinion of it than I do. Hopefully I didn't give too much away. So, I'm not knocking you if you want to go see this. And also, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle is amazing. So if you get a chance to see that, you'll like that. So, like I say, I highly recommend the book way more than I recommend the movie. But yeah, that's about it. I want to thank you for coming here. And do me a favor, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you like the video, give it a like. Please let me know in the comments what you think. Let me know how I can improve these videos. If you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear it. And that's about it. Thank you for coming by, and I hope to see you in the next video. See ya.